All right, and we're live, hopefully. Ivan from the Multiverse Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Some of our quick checkups here. That's the alarm for the show. To make sure we actually went on live on time. I think we're okay, at least for this. Hey everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, episode 6 of 4. We have a good lineup of topics for you guys, things that are in our wheelhouse of expertise. First, our introductions. We have the Titan of Texas, Mr. Fame Entertainment.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I am back. I took a bit of a sabbatical. Been really busy, but I'm happy to be with the guys. And yeah, buddy.
All right, and we also have the Caesar of Cinema with an actual review for us tonight, Mr. James Wilson.
Yes, I have returned from literally being hit by a car last week. So I'm feeling much better. I've seen an actual new movie that no one else in the world has seen that I'm allowed to talk about. I say no one else, about 50 other people have seen it, but still. Hell yeah, excited.
Awesome, and we're going to get into that tonight. And we also have our illustrious White Wolf, Samuel Tolbert.
Everybody, it is good to be here. We're a little lighter on the gaming news, but that is okay because my man James is going to be in rare, strong, excellent form tonight, which I am really looking forward to, and that alone is worth getting your butt in the seat and listening in. So let's get this thing started.
Okay, so we're going to get things started with our first question that we ask every single week. What have you guys been playing? James, have you had a chance to play anything, or you just watched the movie?
I have. I've played a video game that is new to me. It's not new to other people, but it's new to me. I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay,
and it's really, really good. Surprising no one, the guy who really likes Final Fantasy really likes this Final Fantasy game. I haven't played it mostly because of monetary reasons, but I found a copy that was about £20, so about $35. Secondhand in a shop, and I thought, what the hell, I need to play this. Everyone says it's really good. It's probably going to be one of the best games of the year based on reviews and stuff, so I thought I'd give it a go. I'm about 5 or 6 hours in, and I'm already just loving the hell out of it, and I can't wait for the other really long amount of time, apparently, that it is. Other than that, I have been... Actually, I went through playing Assassin's Creed Rogue, which I never got to play, which is the one set just before Unity, because I'm apparently the world's biggest Assassin's Creed mark. But, you know, hell, I love them, and they're great. But I'm still on my usuals. I'm still, every now and then, trying to get my speed down on Bloodborne, constantly playing F1 2020, and avoiding FIFA 2021 like the plague. So, there we go.
And Sam, you get a chance to play anything?
Yeah, I have actually been playing a game I can talk about for once. It's not out yet, but I'm not embargoed. I can tell you that I have been playing and am reviewing Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. I don't want to take up too much time because I'll have a review coming in a couple of days. Can't say exactly when, but it'll be a couple of days before it comes out on the 15th. But Age of Empires 3 is one of those weird games where, despite absolutely loving Age of Empires and loving real-time strategy, I didn't spend a lot of time with it when, you know, it first came out. I played it a little bit, wasn't really feeling it, didn't run well on my computer. So I just went back to Age of Empires 2. But this rebuilt Definitive Edition is the real deal. It adds some new civilizations, the Incas and the Swedes. It completely revamps the weird trading card home city system that turned off a lot of people, including me, and it revamps it so it's very simple to understand. Everything is unlocked for everyone, no advantage if you've been playing multiplayer longer. They reworked some of the Native American campaigns to be a little more understanding and more period accurate, as well as, you know, actually having the proper tribe names and things like that, you know, being respectful to them. So all around, it's a really good package. It's really good. I've been having fun with it. Beyond that, I have also been sucked into the time sink that is called Among Us. I don't really need to talk about that.
Yes.
If you're listening, you know what it is, but it's good. It's darn good.
Yes, so much fun. That was actually my a suggestion from last week's October suggestions. So I'm excited to see what you guys got for this. Man, that was a fun game. Still is really fun. All right, but Fame, what have you been playing, sir?
I have been playing Avengers nonstop. I know everyone seems to hate this game, and some people are turning it into Anthem. But I am working on getting my third character to Power 150. But playing it nonstop with a couple of friends, and I don't see myself stopping playing this game anytime soon.
All right, fun. Who's your first character that you got to 150?
Oh, Widow. She's my main character. Then I got Thor, and I'm currently working on Iron Man. So
what is it with you redheaded game characters, Aloy and Black Widow? Is is this a thing?
Here's the thing, and I would not lie about this. I went through a phase in life. That's all I even dated was redheads. It's a thing. I don't know, but Widow is she's
very lovely. I don't blame you.
Yes, indeed. But as soon as they raise the cap level up, I will go back to her. But right now, I want to get other characters up. It's because of the hives that you do. Like if you go down, if you don't have other characters that are pretty strong, you just got you lose. And that's the surefire way to get exotics right now is to doing those hives. So I've been playing this game almost nonstop.
All right, cool. All right, so we got some little movie corner. I know our movie corner has been basically dead this year because there hasn't been much to really talk about. But we're going to let James do his little review, and then we'll get into our Spooktober picks and we'll go over from there. James, it is my understanding you actually had the privilege of Soul, the new Pixar film, about 2 months before everybody else.
Yes, so it is currently the London Film Festival in the UK. I went for 2 years as press. Got to see a bunch of really, really cool stuff ahead of months before it eventually came out, including Moonlight, a whopping 4 months before the general release. And I didn't like it then. I still don't like it now. Haha. Anyway, I didn't get to go see everything this year because the festival was mostly online and mostly just for press in the industry. But there were very, very, very few select public showings. One of them was for Soul, including a great introduction from Pete Docter, the writer and co-writer and co-director. So, talking about the process of making this film, especially process of following Inside Out, which he also was the writer and director of. So for those of you who don't know, Soul is the new Pixar film, and it follows a man called Joe Gardner, a jazz musician who, just after landing the dream job of his life, playing as a jazz pianist in a renowned quartet, falls down a drain and is dead. And that is the inciting incident of this entire film. It's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer, it's the whole thing. He's then sent to what is referred to as the Great Beyond. He then tries to run away because he wants to get back to his life. Again, all of this is in the trailer. I'm not going to be spoiling anything 2 months before a film comes out. And then he's tasked with... Oh, I can't remember if that's in the trailer or not. He's put together with a soul known as Number 22, voiced by Tina Fey. Joe is voiced by Jamie Foxx, I should say. And... again, this is very dicey, reviewing a film 2 months before it comes out. What I can say is how the film made me feel, which is it really made me feel. I am a big, big fan of Inside Out. Before I was on this podcast, when I was still reviewing films regularly for Tick, and I would do the year breakdowns, Inside Out was my number one of the year it came out. You know, that was a stacked year. That was the year that Ex Machina and Room and Mad Max and the Star Wars Episode 7 came out. So I regard Inside Out very, very highly. It's probably my favorite animated film of all time, and I mean that. So for this to be billed as the follow-up to Inside Out, my expectations very high. And while it is from the same creative team as Inside Out, it is not the follow-up to Inside Out. It is similar in visual style. It's a lot more abstract than Inside Out was. You know, how do you represent a soul in animated form? it's an interesting question, and I think the way that they went is a good way. You can see the little images they have in the trailer. They have form, but they don't really have a form that you might recognize. The thing that's really interesting to me is that there are characters in this 3D animated movie who are 2D. There are 2D lines, effectively, that have motion and purpose, and in this sort of abstract world, they sort of fit in. But then when you have sections that are set in the real world, you see what I think is some of the best 3D animation of real world things you've ever seen, especially like cloth and hair and rain and leaves and the tiny minute details that you could only, the tiny minute flaws, I should say, of like just something that is real, that was undesigned by man. And it's just beautiful the way that this film looks. And I'm trying to avoid story details here. I'm just talking about like how the film made me feel itself. Does anyone have any questions that I might be able to sort of dovetail off into a bit?
So I think I asked you this earlier, and I said it was really hard for you to. So like Pixar normally is very high quality when it comes to films, especially when it comes to story and action above all else. So I asked you this before, like how would you rank it in terms of the other Pixar library? Is it like on a scale of like Good Dinosaur to Ratatouille? Like where would you kind of put like above it and below it, kind of in that?
On a personal thing, I don't like ranking that much, even though we have great ranking
I'm trying to get more of an
discussions all the time.
idea, roughly.
No, completely, of course. I personally will put it quite high. I put it in the top 5 or 6. Like as I said, it's not Inside Out for me, which is my personal number 1. But if you liked Inside Out, I think Soul is very much cut from the same cloth, in that it's trying to deal with very, very complex emotional ideals in a relatively simplistic way. And despite this being a film essentially for children, you know, it is bright and colorful. It features little funny cartoon slapstick moments, but it also deals with, you know, what is the meaning of the soul and what is the meaning of life and our purpose on this earth. Like, that are the questions that this film is trying to deal with. It purposely does not give any answers to any. It just poses the questions and then says what some people think, and some flaws that some people approach. You know, people thinking that, like, they're born on this earth to do one entire thing, and that's the only thing that they should ever do, and throw everything else to the side. And maybe that's not great, but sometimes that does work for people. So, you know, this film it's quite difficult to talk about for people who haven't seen the film, especially a film of this nature. But I've spent a lot of time talking about it. I haven't really told you how I feel. I loved watching this film, and I particularly loved watching it in a cinema. And I'm quite sad that the vast majority of people will never see this film in a cinema, because the way that the music is done, the music by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I should mention as well, they do the vast majority of the score. And it's beautiful and farscaping and electronic, and using the cinema surround sound to fill your auditory senses and overload you, and talking about flow states. I just adored watching this film. So I'd really hope, if you have the opportunity to watch Soul in a cinema, go. Please go. If it is safe, go.
So, James, I have a question for you about this.
Yes.
So the title of Soul, you kind of gave a little bit about what it was about. It's something I've actually been looking forward to seeing. I have a question that most people probably would not understand, but you've heard of the term soul as in the use of how my people, African Americans, use the term soul, correct?
Yeah, like soul food and stuff like that.
No, kind of, not really. Soul is something that, you know, we as Black people are we feel we are born into having soul, someone being a soul brother. And so I was trying to see if this movie, even though it is a physical soul, also plays on that topic, being soul being a double entendre, not just meaning a physical soul. Because me seeing this as a film with black characters, I automatically assume that they would use that as a double entendre, with it being a physical soul, but playing off of what we as black people consider soul.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if you caught that at all, the play off of that at all. Because that's something I'm really looking forward to seeing, whether or not that it is playing off that. That's something I've been interested in knowing about.
I don't know if it's something I personally noticed, because I'm not someone of African American descent who maybe would notice those references. But I should say the other co-director that isn't Pete Docter is an African American man. I can't remember his name right now. I should have written it down. But there's a scene where they go to a barbershop, and the discussions that they have. Again, never been to an African American barbershop in America, but I would be surprised if what you mentioned is not a part of the film, because the main character is black. Most of the people he encounters are black. The music he's playing is jazz. The vast majority of people that we encounter on Earth are black. So I imagine that's something that's there. I can't say that it is or it isn't, because I genuinely didn't notice that. But again, I wasn't looking for it.
I would definitely.
That's a fantastic question.
Whenever I get a chance to see it, I would definitely love for us to come back and talk about this movie again. That way I can kind of point out some of the insights of what I was talking about for the people who wouldn't understand. I would love to revisit this when it finally gets released to the public.
Well, I imagine when we convene for next year and we talk about what we watched over Christmas, we all would have watched it by then. So maybe it's definitely something we can have another look at.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
It's my understanding it's coming out for free on Disney Plus. At least they're not doing the whole premiere thing they did.
As far as I am aware, all the press releases haven't said the words premiere access. So as far as it looks like it's coming out if you have a Disney Plus subscription, you'll get it on Christmas Day.
And we'll come back to this a little bit later, but we got to get to our picks and kind of get into some. So,
I sort of went overboard. I haven't reviewed a film in a while. I needed this.
we were overdue for something. All right, so real quick, as you guys if you're watching for the first time, every single week of October, we give our Spooktober picks. We pick something that's like a scary movie, TV show, video game, whatever. Something just kind of gets you in the mood for Halloween season. And we did our picks last week, and we're gonna do our picks for this week real quick. I'm gonna go first, just so I give you an idea. So this one's more of a thriller, although I put it in the horror category. And I'll explain a little bit later. Cape Fear by Martin Scorsese, with Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, and Robert De Niro. It is a remake, I recall, of another film, I believe, from out. They redid it, but it's much better in this particular by my personal preference. This film, for setup, you have a defense attorney or a convict who had raped and beat a woman. He was able to get him off for just battery as opposed to rape. But there was a particular detail that came through that he kind of buried. It's not really a spoiler. The detail is that Robert De Niro's character, I forget what it is, but Robert De Niro's character woman was promiscuous, and supposedly she was a prostitute, but he still really did terrible, terrible things to her anyway. But his character believes that if this information had come out before, the trial would have gone different. But Nick Nolte's character as a defense attorney buries this information so it never sees trial. Like, it just doesn't. At the time, Robert De Niro's character is illiterate, can't read, but he has a photographic memory. While he's in prison for 14 years, learns how to read and studies law, but through photographic memory, he can remember what was on the page of that report. So, blames Nick Nolte's character. Now, that where the film gets interesting is he decides to get revenge on Nick Nolte, and does so in a manner that is absolutely terrifying. Never does anything in the movie to like the last 5 minutes that's actually illegal. But he has such a sense of menace. Like, do little things like, oh yeah, he'll stalk them like outside their home, like sit on the wall around their house, and like Nick Nolte's character is like, oh, I got him now, he's stalking us, but actually him sitting on the wall is not trespassing because they're not anywhere nearby them. He'll do little things like, and I won't get any further than this. He beats up one of Nick Nolte's friends, beats her up bad, and oh, I got proof now that like this is absolute proof that like, oh yeah, he did something, but she refuses to testify or press charges because she doesn't want to go to court because all her friends are also attorneys and would tear her apart. It's just all these little things about like he absolutely renders the law irrelevant and can't do it. That's absolutely terrifying that nothing can protect you because the person's operating entirely within the construct of the law. And it's absolutely a terrifying film to watch under that. So that's my personal pick. What else?
What did everyone pick last week? I missed the show.
I had picked Among Us and
Sam, you were there. What did you pick?
podcast.
Well, I picked Hush, the 2016 film.
Hell
yeah. Yeah, great, incredible. And then the other one I picked was Alien Isolation. Those were the two I picked.
All right, I've got something.
All right.
I would want to talk about a movie called Ghost Stories. Anyone heard of this?
Nope.
I mean, it's a pretty generic name, I'll give it that.
Yeah.
It is from the writer and creator and star of the film, a man called Andy Nyman. Now, most of you has anyone here heard of the illusionist and mentalist Darren Brown? No, fair enough. He's very, very big in Britain and did a big Broadway show and a couple Netflix specials last year. Anyway, Andy Nyman is also a creator of the horror comedy series. Him and Jeremy Dyson, they created a show called The League of Gentlemen, which is a brilliantly weird and very, very British comedy horror show from the late 90s, early 2000s. But Ghost Stories originally began life as a play about a criminologist and a psychic skeptic going and visiting 3 cases that his mentor could never solve. The film follows the exact same format. It is this character going and visiting and meeting 3 people who have, and you just hear their stories. That's it. You hear 3 different ghost stories. But what happens is that the line between reality, sanity, truth, exaggerated truth, what is a story, what is an exaggerated version of a story, is just, the line just starts to get drawn slightly differently. The film came out in 2017, did pretty well in the British box office. I don't know if it ever got a US release. But if you like horror that makes you terrified of just being alive, this is one for you. I can't recommend it enough. I saw the stage show multiple times when I was very much too young to watch it, and And then when the film came out, I was just so excited. So yeah, Ghost Stories, big recommend.
All right, Sam, what you got for us this week?
Why don't you skip me since we didn't have Fame's picks last week? Why don't you go for him first?
Sam, do you have a pick for us this week?
I got nothing, honestly.
Well, you don't normally participate in this segment every year.
No, sir. I usually sit back and listen with these, and it's typically something James says that makes me go and watch. That's why that's usually why I'm here, to see what James is recommending for us to watch. Sorry.
Oh, I'm touched. Go watch Oculus.
So my pick is, and I'm sorry, but I only have one this week.
Okay, that's fine. I only have one too.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Is The Evil Within. It's a game by Tango Gameworks, part of Bethesda, now part of Xbox and all that. Studio is directed by Shinji Mikami, who helped, found the Resident Evil franchise. He worked with Capcom. Later on, he would work with Platinum Games for a little bit. And the first Evil Within, I want to be straight up, is not as good as the second one. The second one is leagues better as a game. But the first one does have a sort of rustic charm that I don't think any other horror game has, and no other horror game ever will. Have any of you played this game?
Yes, I have.
I have.
You have? Okay, so you both have. All right, so for anyone listening who hasn't played it, you open playing as a detective whose name's Sebastian Castellanos. You go in with two helper detectives, including a rookie named Judy Kidman and your partner, Joseph. I can't remember his last name at this time. You investigate an insane asylum where supposedly there's been some disturbances, a guy has gotten loose, and from there on, it's just a roller coaster. It doesn't really make sense. Seriously, the story does not make sense at all until you play the DLCs and then play the second game. And yes, to an extent, that's not good storytelling, right? That is okay, what was this all supposed to be? But if you just turn that part of your brain off and accept it, it is a roller coaster of some of the best that Resident Evil and Silent Hill and whatnot have had to offer, with the horrifying creature designs, like the Keeper and all these other monsters that really exemplify, that I think Silent Hill 2 started the trend, the idea of monsters that are based on your own innate psychological issues. So someone who locked things away for a time, it's a strong butcher type creature that literally has a safe for a head and it can go anywhere. Incredible creature work by Nakamura, actually, Ikumi Nakamura, who is no longer with Tango Gameworks, but she worked on both Evil Within games. It's survival horror, obviously, and I don't think as many people, enjoyed it as they did in the second one, myself included. But, since Tango's name, Bethesda's name, is coming up a lot these days, go back and give it a whirl. It is a very good popcorn horror game with some of the best creature work ever, hands down, in my opinion.
I found the second half of that game a bit too similar to Resi 4.
The similarities are definitely there.
All right, so we got some stuff we want to cover real quick. All right, so I'm gonna start with the most boring news, honestly, to me. This is gonna sound terrible. Xbox Series X, the games that were shown off, the embargo dropped. I mainly saw IGN's coverage, but I saw a few others, IGN, where they showed off two particular games running on Series X hardware designed for Series X, which was Yakuza Like a Dragon and Dirt 5.
Would you say those are designed for Series X?
Well, they were designed and are going to release alongside it, so I would say designed for Series X.
That's hard to say, man. I wouldn't say those are designed, especially Yakuza.
I think what he meant is this is the first time we've had hands-on impressions of games optimized for Xbox Series X. I think that might be a better way of putting it.
I don't know. For me, I'm just kind of I saw it. It was kind of underwhelmed by it. Dirt obviously is trying to be Forza. I get it, but it's dirt, literal dirt. I can't care about it. I just can't. And I would ask Mike because he's kind of like the resident racing guy, but he's not here tonight, so that's kind of sucks. But yeah, to me, I was kind of like, all right, cool. We got 120 frames per second. That's pretty cool. You're gonna make some big sacrifices on there and visually get that, but it's pretty cool. Other than that, it was kind of a grab bag. Yakuza Like a Dragon looks cool. Game looks fun. I don't know about being like a technical showpiece or anything like that, but it looks cool. The game looks crazy. So I'm kind of in that boat. But what do you guys think about this? Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy in that. I think they look fine. Dirt is not up my alley. I'm not really a big racing guy, and when I do, I go for Forza, hands down. But it's just, to me, it's neat. It's neat that there is a 120 FPS mode. And it sticks to it pretty darn well, according to Digital Foundry. That's something we haven't had in console racing before. That's something that's very difficult to do, even on PC with well-optimized racing games. So that's cool. Yakuza, you can argue it's not a technical showcase, but it's still a fun game, and one that Xbox needs more of, to say the least, so I'm glad to see them promoting it. I understand, however, the vibe of what you're saying in terms of, yeah, okay, it's Series X gameplay. Neither of these are really showcases. These aren't like, oh, hey, here's the new Gears of War running on Series X, or even something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I would say, personally. I get what you're saying. I will be very careful and say these aren't the only games they're going to show off. Obviously,
sure.
You will see more stuff.
Obviously, but
very
right
soon.
now.
But right now, I understand what you're saying. I get it.
I don't know. What did you guys look? Did you guys look at a Fame?
I'm such an idiot. I'm on mute. I honestly feel like I was saying earlier, I don't see these being like showcases. I think the people who are running with this to try to make the Xbox Series X look bad needs to realize these multi-plat games designed for multi-plat consoles, right? I don't think I'm still wholeheartedly believe that we're going to finally see Hellblade 2 gameplay at the Video Game Awards. I could be wrong, but I don't think we're going to get a true sense of a showcase title until then, because we all know the first party studios are all working on something and they haven't been shown. They haven't really shown anything as of yet. So the console's going to launch with these multi-plats and these second party games. When we look at the Medium and stuff like that, I don't even see the Medium as a showcase style game. We got to get into the Hellblade 2s and the other games before we really see what this console can look like. And it just sucks that we have to wait a little bit. But when I saw it, I was like, okay, it looks good. But at the end of the day, I don't really get hoopla and excited, because I mean, it's a third party title. It's not really up to Microsoft or Sony on how this game necessarily creatively looks, or the stuff they decide to take out and put back in, a la the crowd missing on the 120 hertz mode. But I don't know, man. I don't see it as a technical showcase. Yakuza's never been about being a graphically demanding game. It's been about it being a fun game. So it's going to be a while, probably around the Game Awards, before we really see something like a Hellblade 2 show some gameplay. Like, oh, okay, here's the technical showcase we've been waiting for this console.
James, did you get a chance to look at it?
I did not get a chance, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I would. My instant reaction is that if you're gonna have something, if you're gonna try and show something good, show something that's simulating real life. So Dirt makes sense from that logic standpoint, but also Dirt is the kind of game that you would put after a big release to try and transition into the smaller indie titles in any E3 showcase. Like that. There's also that. So yeah.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, that makes sense. But I got that impression that it was like, okay, there's a reason why we're showing these particular titles first. I would hope that would be the case. But they're not designed for it, but like it's supposed to be about performance, I guess. Oh, look, we can do 120 frames per second. It's a Japanese game. Be happy. I guess the only thing I was majorly excited for was the fact they had English dubbing. for Yakuza? Is that the first time it's been in that series?
No comment.
Definitely the first time at launch. I can say that.
Definitely first time at lunch. Getting confirmation from outside source right now saying it's the first time it's been there. So I
maybe it's a situation that the first letter of the games that they show off are going to lead to like the release of like brand new gameplay. So if it's DY, eventually we're going to get the re-reveal of Dying Light 2. So why not?
Yeah, I hope so. Better yet.
I think you'll find Dead Island does not start with DY. Also, Dead Island 2 came out, didn't it?
No, it didn't. It never came out.
No? Alright, there you go.
There was Dead Island Riptide was like an offshoot kind of game. But no, Dead Island 2 got announced like I want to say. And then never came out. Never had an update. Kind of like, oh yeah. Gone like deep down.
Take away my gamer card. There you go.
I mean, most people didn't pay attention to it, but there's a good reason for it. I lost track in terms of what happened. Like with what happened, I would feel like THQ Nordic was involved with some.
Of course they were. They were always involved.
Dead Island 2. You want the short version on this nonsense or the long version?
Give us the short one. Yeah, been a while.
Originally pitched it, but instead decided to focus on Dying Light with Warner Brothers, given how well Dying Light sold. I think it's fair to say they made the right choice. Yeah, Deep Silver was looking for a developer. Jaeger Development pitched, got the deal, established a new division, Jaeger Productions. That was announced in 2014. They presented gameplay at Gamescom. It didn't really impress too many people. There were some, okay, what is this? Needless to say, skip a year, Jaeger Productions files for insolvency in 2015. In 2016, Sumo Digital takes over. And in 2018, I believe, yes, July 2018, Deep Silver insists that the game is being made. That's all we got. The last thing we got was a quick, yes, it's in development in 2018.
There you go. It's still.
Excuse me. No, I'm incorrect. In 2019, they said that they had a new team called Damn Buster that was helping them out. Sorry. So we did get an update last year. My apologies.
The name of the studio is Damn Buster?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. So yeah, needless to say, yeah, maybe it's a game that comes out someday.
Well, Damn Buster in Britain is a great phrase. Because it's the Dam Busters. It's the guys who in World War II they created the bouncing bomb that would they would drop it on water and it would bounce and bounce and bounce until it hit a certain dam, bust the dam, and rid Germany of the ability to create nuclear weapons. It's a very, very important event. So don't make fun of the Dam Busters.
All right. So also other little bit of gaming news. This is more just kind of interesting, I guess. So Ruffian Games. What was the last game?
They made it. They assisted with. They did some support work on Crackdown 3 and Master Chief Collection.
Okay. Odd studio to choose personally. Okay. So it was announced today that Take-Two, the parent company of Rockstar, has purchased Ruffian. I don't know. I didn't hear any details, at least how much or anything about. Who cares about that? But not only that, and the only reason why we even bother having this in a thumbnail, they rebranded them immediately. Ruffian, Rockstar Dundee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I literally have zero feeling about this, but it happened.
Yeah, it's just for me. It's sorry. Go ahead, James.
No. I you guys cut out for a minute, and I missed the last 30 seconds.
I'm just talking about how funny it is. They've been renamed Rockstar Dundee, obviously referring to Dundee, Scotland, not. Crocodile Dundee, but still, plenty of jokes and memes. Plenty of jokes and memes are being had all the same. It's all in good fun. That's not a game studio. This is a game studio. Is one of my favorites. But outside of that, there is...
As an Australian, I like Crocodile Dundee, but like we do other things as a country. So
yeah, you also had Steve Irwin, which is great.
rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But I will say, like, it's not super interesting aside from the fact that obviously everyone is continuing to acquire and build up and buff up. Like, obviously, literally everyone's doing it. But there is a shared history here. Ruffian was first founded by several developers from a Rockstar project, I believe, and a lot of that team worked on like Grand Theft Auto 3 and Manhunt. So there is sort of a, George Lucas, it's like poetry, it rhymes, cyclical nature to a lot of this. They struck out and did their own thing for a while, and now they're coming home. That's kind of funny.
Just make Bully 2. Come on, guys, please.
Man,
just
if that
do
happened,
it.
I'd be totally down. I would love a Bully game.
You guys know the Bully's not called Bully in the UK. Do you know about this?
Yeah, you told me before. What was it called?
It's called like Canis Canem Edit.
Yeah, I remember I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's like the Latin motto of the school. It's dumb.
All right.
Yeah.
Fame, anyone to add before we start talking about Disney?
Nah.
There's really not much to say, is there? It's just kind of like,
no,
all right.
it really isn't.
Like, this is, I don't know, maybe, I literally was asking people, it's like, why is this a big deal? Oh, because of who they are, not what they've done. I'm like, British? I don't know. But,
I will say this before I forget, it has nothing to do with the topic at hand, right? However, I was talking with some people earlier about QuakeCon. Now that Microsoft owns ZeniMax, whatever, QuakeCon has a different feel to it. I expect you to be back in Texas next year if QuakeCon happens, Anchor. I'm just telling you right now. It's time for you to hop back on that horse and be the biggest Bethesda fanboy I know and come to QuakeCon with us because it's going to have a different feel next year. I want to say that before I forget. I've been meaning to tell you.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me, too. So my thing now is that literally with Microsoft, they have so much potential in terms of, because not only now they basically own QuakeCon, and they're going to have out the XO event, and they have the regular E3 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because when's QuakeCon? Like July normally?
No, QuakeCon is usually at the end of the year, so around now-ish.
Oh, so October-ish normally?
Yeah, typically.
I mean, if they moved XO to like springtime, set in terms of events.
Yes, sir.
Man, they would like they could literally use that as so much free press.
Super excited for QuakeCon. I was telling all my guys, we go every year. It's going to have a different feel next year if, everything opens back up.
I mean, eventually.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure it will next year, but it will eventually, obviously, and it'll be a big deal when it does. I want to go to QuakeCon one of these years.
Hey, man, come down. If you ever come down, because like I said, we go every year. This is literally like a 15-minute drive from my house. If you guys ever come, let me know. We'll do it up.
House party
while you guys are down here in Texas. Yep, let's do it. Let's do it. We'll do it up when you guys are here.
I would love the makers of Untitled Goose Game to hold an event at the exact same time as QuakeCon in like a pond nearby and call it QuackCon.
Okay.
Amazing.
Well, that was a Multiverse show.
All right, so last topic for the evening. So, this is something that kind of happened randomly, but is extremely interesting. Going to change everything going forward. Bear with us here. Well, probably will at this point. If it's Disney doing it, it's probably going to happen. So, today we had an announcement from the new CEO of Disney. I actually didn't know they had a new CEO. I thought they just had an interim one. Is this the guy?
I don't know.
He's another Bob, is what I remember. So they had him out, and he basically said that they are restructuring Disney, where their primary revenue source is going to be Disney Plus. That's the main focus from now on. Less movie theaters and digital home releases and stuff like that. Less that for Disney. And this is a pretty big deal. Before I start going into my things at least before we talk about that, let you guys kind of take over a little bit. James, what's the deal? Why are you a little skeptical about this? Why is this not so much?
No. I said I didn't say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but I said like the idea of it potentially being like some people have run with the idea that this means that that's it for all Marvel products and all Star Wars products. They're all going to be on Disney Plus first. And I think, well, that's probably a step too far. You know, I doubt that if, for example, Doctor Strange, that's a good one. That's far enough away. That's probably going to get a big cinema release if COVID hasn't ravaged the world by December. Black Widow, potentially, who knows? But I don't see this as the cinema killer people are talking this about. I see this as the long-term replacement for the Disney Channel. Because I don't have a subscription to the Disney Channel, but I have a subscription to Disney Plus. Who amongst us pays for the Disney Channel?
Pay for Disney?
Well, sorry, do you get it for free in America?
Well, no, I mean for us, like it's like part of cable packages. Like, well, because most of the time here, it's more you can't really pick individual channels. Like, want to do this? Normally you get like packages.
But my point stands that it's part of a package, right?
Yeah.
But you still pay for it. That's what I mean.
Sure. I mean, ultimately, yes.
Yes. Okay. So, what if the Disney Channel went away completely, and then they just get you over the counter direct to them? Because Disney, this is the failure of a lot of streaming services for like Peacock and HBO Max and all of this stuff. The content that they produce isn't really the big reason people go to them. People have Netflix and Amazon Prime because they have The Office and Friends. Same with HBO Max for Friends. But Disney have enough stuff that you could go, yep, here's all of the stuff we've done, and you will watch it because it's nostalgic and there's enough new content that people actually like. So long term, I see this statement as that's what they mean. They're trying to 100% corner that market. And hey, if every now and then they get a slice of their movie revenue, that's great. Who's to say that the weekend, let's use Doctor Strange again as an example. If the weekend Doctor Strange comes out just for the opening weekend, if you wanted to pay Premiere Access and watch it at home, why not? As an example of things that could happen. As I said, we're having a conversation based on, 7 words? So the information that we're going off of is 100% speculative. But if I was a betting man, that's where my money would be. They're focusing in on the key demographic of people like from ages 5 to about 35. Like children whose parents have it and young adults and late 20s and people who just have got kids and they need something to distract them. What are you going to get? Disney Plus. That's where I stand.
Sam?
Definitely a little more cynical in terms of the survival of theaters, especially given the extended statements that Bob Chapek said about their whole plan here, and how he said, we're trying to skate to where the puck is going to be. And then later, I'm trying to find a link to it right now. He made some additional statements that I forgot to share in our group chat. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, he says, as dynamics change, we want to make sure we're giving consumers who want to go to theaters to experience everything a theatrical release can give them. Yes, but at the same time, there's a lot of consumers who want to experience a movie in safety, comfort, and convenience from their homes. We have to be there for them and put the consumer first, and the consumer is making the decision here. So I'm definitely a little more skeptical. To me, this is basically all but confirming they're going to go more for our movies are the loss leader on Disney Plus projection. That's just where I see it, but we'll see.
Do you have anything to add to this before we
Nah.
So here's the thing. I look at this as symptomatic of what the going through of in the long run, where I think this is mainly after Tenet weekend, where people are desperate for something and still kind of up in the air about whether or not it's going to open. I think it was they were buying time to see if things were going to get any better, and they made this call after it was readily apparent this is not going to get done this year. That things are not going to go back to normal, and that things are going towards a streaming route, digital and connected, and this is live in now. I think they've recognized that, and they're trying to get ahead of it. I don't know what that means necessarily per se. I know they've said, well, at least I saw that. I'm not sure. Said that like some movies out day and date on Plus and in theater. I think that would work for certain movies, like any Disney remake that exists. Maybe some they're not quite positive about it, like just literally on both. But like, if they came out and made Avengers 5, do you know their day and date? Not sure about that. Simply just because of that reason. But what I do see it doing is they're going to be cutting out especially the home sale market, where it's going to be like, okay, look, we're going to have the movie, it comes out, it does its run, and then it's coming to Disney Plus right afterward. At least get people there. I think that's going to be. They're going to say, if you want to own it physically, sure, you may not get it till 6 months from now if you want to own it physically. But look, we're going to be having things pretty quickly. It's going to cut down the time in between, and that's kind of where I see them kind of fitting it into it. And because the main focus, I mean, it's all corporate speak, obviously. The main focus is to try to do direct to cutting out middlemen. And I mean, theaters or something that's interesting because a lot of them they built out of their business around tentpole, and they might do like what they did with Mulan again several times. But the smaller movies, I definitely see. Hey, these are selling points. And say, hey, do you want to go see Lion King 2, the prequel, Mufasa? Want to see the live action movie? Like, are you going to pay money for that? I'm not. Or you can watch it on Disney Plus. I've ranted enough.
We didn't talk about the announcement of who's directing the Lion King movie. It's Barry Jenkins. Why? Why is the director of Moonlight directing a Lion King movie?
No idea.
It better be like really serious.
Yeah.
If it's really sad and really serious, I'll be into it. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Yeah. I mean, on a little tangent from this, I just hope that this is a wake-up call to a bunch of movie studios to be like, hey, maybe making films that cost $200 million to make and only make a profit if they make about $500 or $600 million isn't great at business practice. Because companies like, Blumhouse, or the horror companies like St. Maud is coming out, and that only needs to break about 10 million worldwide to be profitable. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'll eat crow. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just saying that, at least to me, I could be totally wrong here. It seems like people in companies are just now starting to understand that the pandemic isn't going to be over anytime soon. It's going to be a while. That is impacting the production pipeline, and we saw with Tenet the disastrous result it's having for theaters and everything going on there. I really do think Disney is pivoting to get to a place where, sure, they like theaters, but they no longer depend on them. That's where I'm at. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't here last week to talk about the theatre collapse of Cineworld and Regal, which is a unbelievably big deal. And, 5,000 jobs in the UK just got wiped out overnight.
Yeah.
I don't have any news to talk about Odeon and View and other places of that ilk. I'm still in a job, so that's something. But, we were really relying on films like, Black Widow and No Time to Die and Wonder Woman stuff coming out, which, isn't great for our business. But then again, there are people who are saying that there are no new films coming out, which isn't true. Since Tenet released in the 26th of July, we have had 2 new films release every single week. So there are films coming out. There is an audience there. It's just not as big as some people want or need it to be.
Right.
I don't have anything to add to that.
I say something or
I was gonna say, am I the only one experiencing this weird, awkward silence at the moment?
no, I definitely had it. It's just usually that's when Ivan steps in.
Sorry about that. I just had to. All right. So yeah, I mean, there's not much really to talk about right now, at least in terms of definitive statements. But it is going to be very interesting and also really scary to see just kind of everything's changing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to wrap things up here. Fame, where can the good people find you, sir?
You guys can find me on Twitter at FameENT2K. You guys can find everything that I also write and edit at lv1gaming.com. Every Wednesday and Thursday, you can catch the XP podcast and the Take Two podcast there. Got some really, really, really talented writers that just joined the team. About 3 talented writers just joined the team just recently that I'm super, super excited about. They're super talented, creative writers, and you guys are really going to enjoy that content at level1gaming.com. And we'll see you guys next Monday.
Right. And James?
You can find me on Twitter at James_S Wilson. And I know we've been talking about how Disney are cynical and awful and they're ruining the film industry. But if you want something that's genuinely uplifting and quite joyous, on Disney Plus is The Making of Frozen 2, a TV series that is one of the best making of film documentaries that has ever been. Watch that and you'll feel resolve for humanity again, despite it being a corporate machine.
Sam?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. You can find everything I write on Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore. Please be excited for my review of Age of Empires 3 coming sometime in the next couple of days.
All right, and I'm Ivan. You can find me on AngerBandV2. Also hit us up on Discord. We'll be uploading the show on Tuesday once it finishes uploading. So thank you guys for tuning in. Always good to have the guys on for the show, and we are going to talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Multiverse Show, greatest show on Mondays.